This is the Hello Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adui.
Good times and don't make it bad.
These reforms are not just about taxation. They are about building a fairer, more efficient, and growth-oriented tax system that supports businesses, encourages investment, and ultimately improves the lives of Nigerians. Many of our existing laws are outdated and no longer reflect modern economic realities. Amending these arcane legislations is both necessary and urgent. On this note, I wish to invite the President of the Senate, His Excellency, distinguished Senator Boswin Obot Akpabio, GCON, to deliver his speech and declare this public hearing open.
So I call on all and sundry and all Nigerians who have issues with the bills. Read the bills before you comment. Even some of our leaders never opened a page of these bills submitted to the National Assembly before they started rolling television propaganda. Communicates have been issued by people who ought to know. In fact, I know somebody who came to me and said, "You know the VAT that you proposed in the new tax regime. Don't jump up to contribute based on social media discussions. Go and read first. When we meet again tomorrow, we'll come and make your contribution and just go online. You can download, go through it. The area you don't want, please tell us." I'm not making a regular speech. I'm only advising Nigerians. Tell you why. Look at your country, look at your tax system. How has it been in the past? Do we need reform? If you agree we need reform, bring your ideas. Marry your ideas with your colleagues. Marry your ideas with your lawmakers. Discuss with your CSOs, your NGOs, and discuss with parliamentarians. Send us your recommendations. We'll collate them. We will assess them. And I can assure you that by the time we are through, 5 years from today, we say yes. And the 10th National Assembly did the best for this country. And that is why we are where we are. I welcome and God bless your deliberations.
By the authority of the President of the Senate, whom I am representing now, I think before we start these proceedings, we have our guideline of which we want the proceedings to take. But for the fact that His Excellency is leaving, I will want to please invite the Honorable Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy to give us his remarks.
To provide the basis for prosperity, which then leads to higher tax revenue. Those who are not doing so well will be encouraged by allowing them to keep their resources to reinvest so that they can grow bigger. And it's not until they are more successful that they will be taxed. Likewise, Mr. Senate President, Your Excellency, you've also pointed out the nexus, the link between government revenue and the provision of key services, economic services, infrastructure, and other key drivers of the economy, and payment of tax. The two are linked. And that's why there is need now for this all-important reform as part of Mr. President's economic agenda. It's a bold step, another bold step, because we are witness to the reforms that have been made over the last 20 months or so, the macroeconomic reforms, and we can all see the progress that has been made, the success. We're here to have the feedback from the stakeholders, from the public at large, and that really is the point of this particular two-day sitting, to ensure that all views are heard and all stakeholders are carried along.
The project having been passed and transmitted to the executive arm, it's time for us to resume our work on the tax reform bills. And the starting point for us was going to be this public hearing. Simultaneously, I'm sure you have gotten an invitation from the House of Representatives. So the next 3 days, you are going to be frequenting the two chambers of the National Assembly to participate. And we thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Again, we appreciate your responding at the shortest notice. The other stakeholder was doing his own. We also internally have tried to do whatever we could do to ensure that we are able to address this issue from an informed position. We assure you, by God's grace, we will give something back to the Nigerian people through Mr. President, who will assent to whatever bills we pass, something that will be worthwhile and that will help to move this economy forward. So, Coordinating Minister of the Economy, I want to assure everybody through you once again that it will be worth your time and attention.
On the position of completely withdrawing all reliefs for FCZ enterprises, only domestic sales exceeding the 25% threshold should be subject to all applicable taxes, including customs duties, levies, and more. Allow 25% duty-free imports into the Nigerian customs territory. Any import above 25% will attract all the full duties. Proof of USD export proceeds from anywhere in the world, or duties paid required in imports above 25% mandatory to retain free zone incentives. In brief, Chair, the revised provision of the proposed tax should be simple, transparent, and straightforward, bringing regulatory certainty and a level playing field for everyone.
The concern of the ministry, and particularly the Department of Industrial Inspectorate, it's that it seeks an accommodation within the Nigerian tax bill. And this accommodation is because the certificate of acceptance of new additional investment value in granting capital allowance and emphasize the need for the law establishing the Industrial Inspectorate Department and its functions to be incorporated. I mean, it's a main concern of the ministry, and I think it has also turned out to be the main concern of industry players. Because a lot of the times, I mean, the crucial role of verifying and investigating qualifying capital expenditures incurred by companies and issue certificate of acceptance of new additional investment value remains very, very important. And I think that this function can most and best be carried out by actual physical inspection than by invoices and by receipts.
We are NNPC Limited. We are the largest taxpayer in the country today. Our industry contributes to the largest contribution to revenue from taxes, and therefore we're the happiest people seeing this tax law coming in place, bringing every legislation in one basket, and not only that, bringing in a significant number of reforms that will bring simplicity, efficiency, and also transparency to the tax system and the tax laws in our country, and ultimately, making our businesses more predictable, that we can plan with it. Our industry has always struggled around multiple tax systems, multiple tax rules, multiple tax books, And today, what this means is that we are singing a single tax book that we can relate to and we can work with, and we are planning with it. Chairman, I can confirm to you that not just NNPC, the entire oil and gas industry is happy to have this reform that is coming at the right moment today. Perhaps it's very late, but it's good that this has come up, and we're happy that this has happened. Specifically, Mr. Chairman, for us, a number of critical issues have been addressed, but I will specify too, Mr. Chairman, a number of issues around what is reasonable and what is necessary. This law has taken care of it. Sometimes it's very difficult to determine whatever you do is necessary and necessarily doing for this, and this law has taken care of this, and this has been a matter of contention always between FRS and ourselves, and including our other partners.
Of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria welcomes the raft of fiscal incentives contained in the tax reform bills. It is pertinent to note that Chapter 8 of the NTB 2024 contains a number of tax incentives capable of boosting the capital market in Nigeria. For example, Section 164 grants income tax exemption in respect of dividend distributed by authorized collective investment schemes, among others. This has the full support of ACMAN. ACMAN is also in full support of Section 56 of the tax bill, which has proposed a gradual reduction in the income tax on total profits of large companies in Nigeria from the current 30% to 27.5% in 2025 and to 25% from 2026. This reduction will go a long way in improving the business climate in Nigeria, as the country's CIT is one of the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. It bears repeating that the reduced income tax rates and other generous incentives to small businesses through increased exemption thresholds will most likely spur business activities and create more job opportunities, essential for the growth of the Nigerian economy.
For many decades, our tax laws have remained largely unchanged. While these laws served their purpose at the time they were enacted, the economic and business landscape has evolved significantly over time. Some provisions in our existing tax laws are now outdated and no longer in tune with current economic realities. Recognizing the urgency of a more holistic reform, the President inaugurated the Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee with a clear mandate to overhaul and simplify the tax system. This committee worked assiduously to produce these tax reform bills, which collectively aim to create a tax structure that is fair, efficient, and effective in revenue collection. Since the tax reform bills were transmitted to the National Assembly by the President, it has generated a lot of interest from all Nigerians, as expected of any reform which deals with taxation. However, after careful study of the bills, majority of Nigerians have come to terms with the contents of the bill. Extensive stakeholder engagements have been conducted to address concerns raised by various interest groups. Now, having passed the second reading, the bill is at a crucial stage where they are open for public scrutiny and input. This public hearing serves as an opportunity for all concerned stakeholders to deliberate and propose necessary amendments to the bills to ensure the reforms achieve the intended objectives. The tax laws that we seek to reform will affect all Nigerians, both individuals and businesses operating within our economy. It is therefore imperative that we gather input from a broad range of stakeholders to ensure that these laws serve the best interests of the people. We expect contributions from all invited stakeholders who will present their views on the provisions that may require further refinement. We urge industry players, tax professionals, accountants, lawyers, the organized private sector, and economic experts to provide constructive feedback on how these bills can be improved to better achieve their intended objectives. This hearing is not just a legislative formality, it is an opportunity for us to collectively shape Nigeria's tax system for the future. We must ensure that our tax laws are practical, fair, and capable of driving economic growth while maintaining equity, fairness for taxpayers.
We have invited key stakeholders, including MDAs, business leaders, tax experts and administrators, representatives from the private sector and civil society organizations to take advantage of this platform to provide useful contributions that will guide the House in the consideration and passage of the tax bills. This 10th House recognizes the critical importance of the tax reform bills, the anxiety among Nigerians and the desire of the government to revamp our economy through an improved tax system, and resolve to ensure a thorough legislative process that is open, transparent, and inclusive. It is for this reason that we created a special committee chaired by Honorable James Faleke to oversee the legislative process. This committee includes members of the House Committee on Finance and co-opted members from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. This arrangement is to ensure inclusive representation and broad-based deliberation on the proposed bills. The tax reform bills have generated widespread debate in the media, public domain, and even in private discussions, all reflecting their importance. It should be noted, however, that these debates are healthy and necessary for consolidating our democratic practice and culture. Therefore, the purpose of this public hearing is to foster robust discussions and harvest recommendations by providing stakeholders the opportunity to make their inputs. Let us seize this opportunity to bring forth a tax system that serves the best interests of all Nigerians. Let me assure the stakeholders present here and all Nigerians that the House will give deserved attention to every contribution while working assiduously to ensure the passage of the bills. As I conclude, let me use this opportunity to thank Nigerians for their support, understanding, and patience. There will be light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, there is light at the end of the tunnel. With these few remarks, it is now my pleasure to formally declare this public hearing open. We look forward to receiving the full report at plenary as soon as possible.
The bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Security and Intelligence Trust Fund seek to provide funding for security and intelligence-related matters outside the usual budgetary provision. These funds will primarily be deployed to the training and retraining of personnel of Nigerian security agencies. Provision of the state-of-the-art security and intelligence equipment and other necessary infrastructure-related facilities for the enhancement of the technical competency and operational readiness of our security personnel in all areas of their operation. Furthermore, the funds will ensure the upgrade and maintenance of the training institution to global standards, make resources available for research and development, including the utilization of outcome of such research to bring the intelligence agencies, the armed forces, and relevant paramilitary agencies at par with the world-based security agencies in this digital age.
Event. This hearing presents members of the public with the opportunity to contribute to National Assembly's lawmaking process. Your contributions will go a long way in helping the House to serve through the possibilities and possible pitfalls in the new legislation to arrive at a conclusion that will help in the best interest of our country. I must, however, remind all of us that we must navigate through, as we navigate through this, we must also bear in mind the establishment laws of our security agencies to ensure that we do not, in the process of a problem solving, create a new one through duplicity of functions and roles. Therefore, I expect a very robust debate and contribution from members of the public, as I also expect examination of the proposed law, recommendations that will guide the House in lawmaking functions.
We believe that following the Constitution, the President has done the needful by presenting these bills to us to amend the tax, of course, and for us as members, as elected members of the National Assembly, House of Reps especially, we assure you that we will do the needful to this bill and give Nigeria a law that, of course, represents the views of all Nigerians.
Fear of generalization and multiplication of implication of the tax authority might extend their tax burden on licensed bureau de change as centralized by the regulated authorities. The exchange rate volatility in the market, if applied to licensed bureau de change. With these tax reforms, it will be transferred to the end users, if so be, because most of the transactions done by the bureau de change will eventually be transferred to the end users. It will worsen the inflation as we depend highly on importations. It will lead to unemployment, as we know, in increasing the tax on the foreign exchange transactions. So our prayers is that the exemption of the excise tax on the foreign exchange transactions on the licensed bureau de change regulated by the central bank.
The application shall be accompanied by a non-refundable fee of 0.1% of the qualifying capital expenditure incurred or to be incurred, subject to a maximum of 5 million naira, and no further fee shall be payable in respect of such application. So for us, for the Commission, we wanted to redraft paragraph 169 subsection 4 and insert a new paragraph 5 to read as follows. The application shall be accompanied by a non-refundable fee as may be specified by NIPC in a regulation made pursuant to this act thereto. Then paragraph 5 should now read, notwithstanding the provisions of paragraph 4, the company shall make an annual payment of 1.5% of its economic development tax credit as service charge to NIPC.
What does the Customs recommend? What we recommend is a closer collaboration between Customs and NEPSA, and secondly, a review of the Enabling Act, which was last done in 1992, to see if there are emerging dynamics in the economy that needs to be corrected.
The proposed increase in value-added tax, VAT, as outlined in Chapter 6, Part 1, Section 146 of the bill. Instead, it advocates for maintaining the current rate of 7.5% while expanding the VAT base to include additional taxable items that are not yet covered. This approach will prevent placing an additional financial burden on already impoverished Nigerians who are struggling under the weight of pricing inflation.
That's our program this week. Do not forget that you can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel and also watch a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 7 a.m. Thank you for watching. I am TVC News On. See you next time.